Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to all of you to our day of the solar plexus within the physical week in the month of Cancer. Mucho para hablar hoy, me parece. Espero que no. I have a lot of things to say today, I guess, but I hope I don't speak much. And if anyone is worried about this, so yes, I burn myself. So that's it. Don't worry. So first of all, I would like to thank, because it's been 1 hour since 1 hour before. I've been in another meeting with the people of I don't know how to say in English, Unity Science. I don't know what's the name in English, Sciences Unitaires. And they invited me to share about the path that I'm taking, because our informations are mixed, or much more with information related to the cosmic, the other planets, but their task matches with mine. So we've been sharing, and it's been great. So I have to thank them to be connected with us, and some of them are going to join us path with me. So the topic today is the minerals, talking about the mineral consciousness. So in order to understand the mineral and the mineral kingdom and its consciousness, of course, that the first thing that we have to talk about is about the biggest mineral, the biggest crystal that exists class, which is the planet Earth. So let's go into this. So those who believe that the Earth is flat, so I'm so sorry. Keep moving along. So we all for sure know this, which is the Earth cut in half. So what can we know about this Earth cut in half? That this part here is called the crust. This is, how do you say this in English? I said it before. Mantle? Is that the name? Mantle? Okay. The mantle. And here we have the core. So with an inner core. Of course, that the mantle has different stages according to the proximity to the core. The inner core of the planet is basically iron, and it's under so much pressure that that it is as heat as the surface of the sun, really hot. So iron is a metal, and that brings the electricity, the electrons from one spot to another really fast. So they have a lot of conductivity. So this is why if we touch some metal, some iron, and we touch it and it's connected to some, I don't know, electricity or something like that, it can kill us because it's very fast conductive. So the iron here in the core of Earth is not solid metal, liquid, because it's under a lot of pressure and heat. So what happened? Because it's liquid, the current is dispersed. So it's not it's not strong as matter. So as solid. So that makes that the electrons organize in a different way in something that we call electromagnetic. So it creates magnet. So in the core of Earth is in these liquid metals. So it moves, it spins. So as it spins, it starts to create a magnetical field because all the electrons hitting each other in this movement. So in this constant spin, what happens is that all the negative ions and the positive, they go one to one side, the other to the other side. So this movement divides the electrons, positive, and the other particles, negative and positive. They create polarity. And by this movement of polarity is how the Earth has this magnetism on a pole north and south pole. So everyone knows how a magnet works, okay? So how it is, all the ions of the negative, the negative, like the electrons, will try to reach the positive, the protons, and the positive will try to reach the negative. So they attract to each other. The Earth works exactly as a magnet. Well, you can do it at home with two magnets. When you have positive and negative, they attract to each other. But inside, these forces, positive, positive, negative, negative, they are trying to occupy the same space, and they are trying to attract to each other, but they have an inner core that doesn't allow that. So what happens is exactly as when you test with an ion with at home, that you put two magnets, negative, positive, and positive, and whatever you put in the center, if it is a metal, it starts to spin. So the same thing that you do with two magnets in your at home, you can check it on the planet with the Earth spinning because of this magnetism. So we have here an inner core. So we have here this inner core, the positive and the positive, the negative and the negative. So positive and positive will repel to one another, and negative, negative will repel to one another. That's what makes the core of the planet spin, okay? Because of this, it's like an engine. But this negative and positive will attract to each other. And that's why we have this electromagnetical field around, attracting both forces. This magnetical field not only is holding the core of the planet, but also protecting the planet from outer radiation. So, for example, the radiation of the sun, it comes and it goes to the magnetical field, and they are discharged to the North Pole, so they don't get into the crust of the planet. So they are discharged there, protecting itself, and all the discharge in the North and the South Pole is what we call the Northern Lights or auroras. El contexto ahora. So now we have the context. When the sun exploded and created the planets, what happened is that the magnetism of this iron started to attract all the different chemicals that are conductive. So all the chemicals that conduct electricity, energy, they create their own magnetical field. So as this magnetical field started to be bigger and bigger, more and more elements started to come to the Earth. And they started to fusion with the gravity of the core, melting all these chemical elements, making new ones. And the result of those melting chemicals are what we call the minerals. All these chemical elements that goes to the core of the planet, they start to melt because of the heat. And why is there heat? Because the magnetism that attracts everything from the outside, that magnetism is so much that every chemical element cannot hold its structure, its molecular structure. So they start to move and spin faster because of the magnetism that takes all the electrons away. And remember, the electrons, when they move fast, that's what we call heat. So there is so much magnetism altogether that it creates so much heat that it melts all the chemicals. But as farther we go from the core, from the gravity, we touch the cold space. So that makes that the electrons starts to get lower and soft, slower, and creates what we call the crust, where we can find all the minerals and crystals of Earth. So in this part of the planet, the crust is where we can find all the mineral structure of Earth. So as deeper the minerals are, the stronger they get because the pressure. So the pressure makes that every structure of minerals gets so hard that for example, we can find diamonds very deep because diamonds are basically very strong structure. So usually this heavy structure of minerals are fixed structures that cannot be moved. And one of the main structures that cannot move is the tetrahedron. So most of the minerals has a basis of a tetrahedral shape for the molecules, okay? That makes the main structure. So the chemicals that organize in this way in a lot of quantity is the silicium, which is the 30% of all the minerals on the crust of the Earth. And when it mixes by pressure with other minerals, it creates silicate. And the silicate is the 75% of the entire minerals in the crust of the planet. So all the quartz, every mineral, everything is basically family from the silicate. So what is the specific things of silicate? That it's a semiconductor of electricity. This means that it can conduct electricity, but also can storage energy. It is not only something that transfer electricity, but also storage energy. So all of us for sure know the silicium because silicate is the base, silicate is the base for all our technology. The computers, phones, robots, anything that is done with technology, it has silicate. And this is because they conduct electricity, but you can handle how much you can control. So I see someone saying here like Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is the place. Maybe there are a lot of silica, but basically is a place where technology is built for everyone. So besides silica, we also have other elements in the crust, like for example, magnesium, calcium, sodium, phosphorus, iron, and many others. Okay, all of them here are minerals, but they are not as conductive as we can use the silica. From all these minerals, when you take the most pure of them in the silica, in the silicate, you can create crystals. So crystals are basically the construction of a pure aspect of a mineral. So minerals are combinations of chemicals, and crystals are like the purest mineral in a structure. Okay, 400 million years ago, when the first creature starts to appear in the oceans, the first cells start to appear in the ocean, what they do, what have they done? They just took all these minerals themselves, the minerals, and wrapped them all inside a cell. What is inside a living being? Just minerals that were dissolved in chemical elements and combined each one of them to be organic. Before they were organic, and now they became organic. So the basis of life is actually mineral. So what life is doing here? Life, what it does, it needs movement, energy. So every chemical element has a charge, a conductivity of energy, an electrical energy that moves electrons and that makes pulses that moves the structure. So what a cell is doing is using each one of the chemical elements to make specific moves, pulses, to make specific actions. So it will take magnesium for a specific action. It will take calcium for a specific pulse of electrons in order to move for something. And so on. It uses everything for conductivity. Life is using the minerals in order to push electrical pulses to make an action. So it's the basis of life, energy. So is the conductivity in each one of these elements that helps the cell to accomplish every action. It's because of the minerals that electricity is moving through our body and is controlled by the combination of one of them, making it organic. So they become organic, transmitting information, movement. And this is why life is movement. So basically, the conductivity of electrons, of electricity in each one of the chemical elements within the cell are the ones that promote the movement that we translate as soul. So in the same way as we understand how the silica helps the pulses and the communication between the rocks, the minerals in the in the computer, so we can send information and create a circuit in a computer. The same way, the silica and these minerals are sending the conductivity of information within our bodies that allows us to move, to think, to do everything that we do. So here we go to compare both realities. Okay. Also, so here we have a human and Earth. In each part, in each, it's easier for us to understand that Earth has different minerals. So we can find different crystals and minerals along the entire planet. There are places in the where you can find much more minerals and crystals because of the pressure of the tectonic plates. So we can find here different plateaus that are hitting one to another. For example, here we have the plateaus that divides Africa from east and west. We have these plateaus here of Anatolia and Persia that are many, tiny. Then we have the plateau of India, Altai, Ural, Scandinavia, Romania, Italy. So we have different tectonic plates, and we can find much more crystals and minerals in them. So there are so many crystals in these tectonic plates that all of them are like a great chain of magnetism, of electricity, because they are all conductive. So it is like a long cable that moves energy. Zzz, zzz. So the interesting thing about how this energy is flowing and moving is according to the North Pole. Because remember, all the electricity is moved by a magnetical field. So the biggest magnetical field on Earth is iron. So all the iron in the planet, it organize its ions according to the North Pole. And that's why you can use a compass to find out where is the North Pole. Because iron behaves as one only being. So it doesn't matter where it is, it will be organized according to the magnetical field of Earth. Positive and negative. So that's why you can figure out where is the north. The iron is a conductive. It moves all the energy to the north constantly. But silicate is semi-conductive, which means that all this energy that moves along, it keeps something. It stores things. So along all the chains of mountains in the planet, the silica administrates information. So everything that happens in the magnetical field of the planet is being stored in the silicate. Quartz, amethyst, jade, emerald. So this means that all minerals work as a conductive and transmitters of information, but also as a storage unit, so memory. So how do we work? We work exactly this. We also have north, south, and a magnetical field. So all these minerals in our body, calcium, sodium, magnesium, silica, all of it are the parts that constitute the electricity of our body, that moves along our information all through our bodies. For example, if we don't have a good amount of silica and potassium, we don't have proper communication and conductivity in our body, so we don't have a good we lose the ability of memory. We lose the connection, the connectivity in our neurons. So we stop having a good process in our body because we are just with a lack of those minerals that are conductive. This is why, like the earth, our body needs from minerals in order to communicate, to have memory, to think, for the cells to know what to do and to communicate to one another. We can take from here the concept that we can take the crystals, minerals from the earth, quartz, I don't know, jade, emerald, obsidian, any crystal, and we can use them to help us move the energy along. Okay, so crystallotherapy, gemotherapy, and all these kind of things. But also we have to acknowledge which, if we have all the minerals with us, if we are taking the basic minerals that we need, okay, so we have to know, acknowledge which kind of minerals we need in our body to have a better communication, a better movement of data. Also, as we can find here these minerals to help us have memory and connectivity in the planet, we can also follow the places where we find a lot of minerals, like some mines, some mountains, some special places where you can find a lot of minerals of some kind. You will know that in those places there's a very important place of energy and storage of information. If we find all these different places, we can understand that those are the memory of the planet and storage all the information from the magnetical field. We can understand here that the data of the planet is stored in the crystals, the minerals, because of the magnetical field. And the magnetical field is moving along, so it grabs all the information from the entire planet. And this magnetical field is not only connected to the Earth, it's connected to everything around. So the magnetical field of Earth, of the sun, and the magnetical field of the galaxy. Anyone from the outer space, any alien intelligence that is willing to communicate with our planet will send information through the magnetical fields through electrons that will be stored in megaliths, monoliths, stone circles, quartz, and all these crystals where they can store information. In the same way as we communicate with phones to talk to one another with silica from other dimensions and from other worlds, they can also communicate through silica. Now let's go to the problem here. What is the problem? That all this information in the minerals is getting storage according to the magnetical field. But if the magnetical is moving along, so that means that the discharge of that data, of that information, will be downloaded in different places, in different minerals. Something that I have been saying since last year and before, the magnetical North Pole is changing. It's changing really fast towards Russia. It's been in Canada for a long time, and the information, it's been there, and the magnetical field has been working properly, but now it's moving so fast that has crossed the entire Arctic Ocean in a short period of time, which is these 2 years. So in the past 2 years, 2020, 2021, and it continues, is moving along towards Russia, which means that the entire magnetical field is downloaded information in different places. So we have lost the north, we forgot. We are forgetting, not memory. So if the magnetical North Pole is changing the direction, this means that our North Pole is also changing the direction. So we are losing the sense of where are we moving the energy, heading the energy. So this movement also is something interesting because this means that alien beings that were able to connect with the Earth when the North Pole was here are not able to communicate with us anymore. As for other new species, will be easier to communicate with us now that the North Pole is changing. So what do we have to do to work with information that is settled on the Earth so we can start to move it so they can adjust to the new places where it's going to be? This is what we are going to do in our Path of the Dragon. The Path of the Dragon is basically to go through the Kundalini of the planet from north to south in order to move the stocked energy from the centers that has been working with the previous North Pole. So it works like an engine moving the energy along so it can spin around to find the new axis of the new north. So if Earth is doing this, we have, of course, to also the same. So that's what we have been doing this whole year. This whole year, we have been aligning every day with the I am so we can be connected to the new North Pole. So we can be balanced according to the new information coming to the planet. And that's to have mineral consciousness. To acknowledge that without minerals, we wouldn't be able to have memory, to think, to be human. And of course, the great mineral of all that connects all of them and mix all of them in order to allow the conductivity is water. That's why all these elements have been able to create the cells and to promote this conductivity in the oceans. Okay, mineral consciousness. Let's go to the alignment. The vibration today is Q. The statement today is I am the root of the being.